Much as the title of this video implies, motion sickness has been a very real barrier for entry into virtual reality for some or many prospective users. It's a problem which VR devs have attempted to solve with field of view limiting when moving, or extreme leniency when performing key actions such as crouching, and differing locomotion options that help to stave off or limit the chances of nausea. And for users who worry about or suffer from motion sickness, it can limit their enjoyment of an experience, or at worst, prevent them from playing entirely. Generally, I'd confidently guess that devs want their software to be as playable and accessible by as many as possible, while hopefully not having to compromise the integrity of their vision in the process. It's a tough challenge for devs, and one that isn't considered properly solved by them. Yet. I'm going to offer a solution, however, one that I feel is the best all-around thing to do for the short and, most importantly, the long-term betterment for everyone involved. For those of you familiar with some of my previous videos that touched on the topic briefly, you're not going to be surprised by what I say next. To overcome motion sickness, it's quite simple. We should not be relying on the devs, no. In fact, the vast majority of that responsibility is on us, the users, to suck it up, face the issue and its discomfort forthrightly, so we can adapt and acclimatize, and then we'll be all the more able for it. Wait. Before you respond to that overwhelming hot flash of indignation that's just possessed you and which is now guiding your hand to click dislike due to the sheer audacity of the suggestion and my seemingly heartless, inconsiderate, insensitive, intolerant, arrogant, elitist, privileged, unempathetic attitude toward your suffering, I'd ask that you stay your hand for a moment longer and consider another potential motivation for my stance. That I believe in how capable you are. I believe in your innate capabilities. I believe in your adaptability. I believe in your ability to grow and claim mastery over things that currently debilitate you, so long as you face them head on. And I want you so very much to fully enjoy these things unhindered, and possibly even kick my ass in online PvP sometime. I'm not against or fail to see the value of creating accessibility and support in certain contexts for things we do, especially in isolation. I am of the opinion, though, that VR developers are near the limit of all they can do on their side to provide comfort options for those who struggle with VR motion, and anything that they would try to do further would risk serious compromises to the entire point of what makes VR so revolutionary. So the responsibility falls onto you, us, to face our suffering and discomfort until it is no more. We can adapt. We can get used to these things and excel. Our mere existence is proof of that. We cannot hide from the challenges of living while demanding the world shape itself to our fears and constraints. Avoidance only leads to further fear and constraint, and the conditions we'd create in our environments to perpetuate that would only become more and more extreme, to the point that we'd paralyze ourselves and each other in pursuit of the most fragile illusion of comfort and safety, always overshadowed by an ever darker, looming fear. One that would never end until we compulsively smother ourselves out of existence entirely. Deep down, you know this to be the truth. Just think back to what happens personally when you continually avoid something in life that eventually has to be faced. You get more and more anxious. The longer you leave it, the more of an all-consuming monster that thing becomes to you emotionally. You try to turn a blind eye with rationality and justifications, but it's no more than a smokescreen. Deep down, the intensity of discomfort and dread grows and grows. The molehill becomes a mountain. The once small shadow grows into a sea of darkness, threatening to swallow you up. Think I'm being dramatic? Pay attention next time you've a prospect to face something of discomfort and suffering in your life. Really watch the inner dialogue and emotions that swirl within you and the context they create, which you then scramble on a thinking level to filter and dismiss. But all in vain. It's still there. In extreme cases, we make a pathology of these fears and ailments and then integrate them as part of our identity to validate the comfort of avoidance. We may also feel we come to something resembling acceptance of this situation and condition. True acceptance is a wonderful thing we should all be striving for in many, if not all, areas of life. But if it were really acceptance, then we'd cease to be so easily controlled and guided unconsciously by these fears and pathologies. True acceptance of fear or discomfort would dispel its shackles on us. Now I want you to think back to when you finally did do the anticipated thing you were previously so anxious about, and then reflected back on the experience of doing it. What did you realize? Say it with me now. It wasn't that bad. This is always how it works. The dragon is not so scary and impossible when we turn and face it for what it is. Okay, enough of the philosophy lesson. Back to the point, overcoming motion sickness. You're going to face it. You're going to remember that you are adaptable and capable. And with persistence, you're going to conquer it, step by step, moment by moment. And you're going to watch as you gradually get better and better until it is an issue no more for you. And even more importantly, you're going to realize that you are not incapable, bound by your fears, and can only hope the world becomes less scary and uncomfortable. Here is how you're going to do this. First, accept you're going to feel discomfort and you will suffer. This is a part of life and unavoidable. Furthermore, we are designed by nature to experience suffering. Acceptance of this is a vital prerequisite to our growth, and without it, we would cease to be. It does not mean to not feel scared, hesitant, or even repulsion to the prospect of discomfort. Not at all. We merely accept that despite suffering, we're still okay. It's never as bad as we anticipate, and in the very moment of experience, we can always deal with it. Secondly, you're going to push yourselves to the limit of your tolerances each and every time. Turn off the comfort features in your VR software. Go right to the edge of your tolerance, stop, and regain your composure if you cannot stand it anymore, but do not give up. Recuperate and test that edge again, gradually and again. Focus intently on the sensations you feel, the nausea, dizziness. Note how when you bring your conscious attention to it without judgment, those feelings lessen their intensity. Keep pushing, keep testing, more and more, little step by little step. Stay intently focused on the present moment of what's happening. If you absolutely have to stop at some point, so be it. If you vomit, so be it. If you have to slowly wean yourself with other comfort features, so be it. But constantly test your limits. Keep trying without the comfort settings when you can. Do not give up. And trust in your incredible ability to adapt and overcome into competence. And while you're doing all of this, keep this third principle in mind. You are not the discomfort you're experiencing. All those sensations, they are not you. You are experiencing them, yes, but what is you is that which notices them, observes them, is conscious and aware of them. But you are a separate entity from them. You are the observer, and as the aware and conscious observer, you realize such emotions and sensations created by your body cannot truly become you, unless you let them by ceasing to pay attention to the present moment. The present moment. Bring your attention to it. Try to notice everything that's happening as you do your actions. Your breath, the air passing through your throat into the lower body, the hot energy tingles flowing around and localized in different areas, often your hands and feet. Your feet touching the ground and the sensation of that. You see something happening in the headset that does not match your awareness of your body at present, but it's okay, because your awareness is an anchor to this moment, and in this moment you are fine. Now, behind all of this, you might note how your brain is scrambling to create a story, a context of how in danger you are, how unacceptable that is, and how it compels your body and emotions to respond with revulsion, escape, fear. But you know better. You are present and aware. And you know those sensations are a response to something completely fictitious. A false narrative that your mind is concocting to preserve itself. Not you, itself. Because the mind is not acknowledging the truth of the present moment. It can't. But you are. And with that, keep pushing your limits while in the headset. Keep your awareness and observe as the intensity of the discomfort begins to lessen and lessen. Now that you are not being consumed by it. Keep going. The sensations will keep trying to take you over, and sometimes it may succeed. That's fine. Accept it. Reflect on what happened, what you observed and experienced. Recover, and go to face your dragon with the light of your attention once again. Then note once more how the light of your conscious observing starts to dissipate that once dreadful shadow. So, as you're working on this gradually in VR, remember, number 1, accept that you're going to feel discomfort, that it is natural and necessary. Number 2, keep pushing yourself to the limit of your tolerances as much as you can muster in the moment. Number 3, remember that you are not the discomfort you are experiencing and feeling. Stay present and aware to prevent it from taking you over and reinforcing a false narrative. Keep this up as much as you need, and I'm so confident that you'll be rid of your ailment and come out of it the other side aware of how incredibly adaptable you are and how competent you truly are. And most importantly, you can now begin to enjoy VR and its wonderful potentials unfettered, free from the fearful embitterment that held you back before and compelled you to demand or to hope the world and others mold themselves to accommodate you. This is so often a bitter, selfish fear that masquerades under the guise of empathetic accessibility and care for others. Imagine if we forever rely and depend upon training wheels for bicycles, armbands and floats for swimming, set unchanging speed limits for travel, crutches for walking, never testing ourselves beyond ever-shrinking comfort zones for anything we ever do and relying solely on others to coddle our pathologies. The disastrous consequences of this attitude should be obvious. The developers have done plenty already. Ladies and gentlemen, square up. Take responsibility. Face our dragons with full attention of the moment. I believe in you and your competence. We believe in you. Get to it. Suffer some and flourish. Our suffering and eventual flourishing will enable others to flourish too.